Chris Horn. I'm cycling 107 kilometres for 107 days. I've got just over a third left on the challenge, which kind of feels like the home straight. The routine is pretty much under control now. I get up at sort of 4:30 every day. I try and get out early and ride before I go to work, and then whatever I have to do afterwards, I have to do it afterwards. The challenge is much more of a mental challenge than a physical challenge, I think. You get moments of doubt, moments of fatigue, stress, the kind of things which are normally related to when you're overtired and your body's overworked effectively. And how I've found is that I have real contrast from massive highs and then obviously massive lows. Yeah. There was a point where I was really sick. I had to have some time off work, and I was going between the bike and the toilet for 2 days, and it took me I think 9 hours on one of them to get the 107 kilometres done, and I physically had no energy to turn the pedals. Getting through that, it was kind of a stubbornness more than anything, and in theory there can't be many days worse than that. So knowing that I dealt with that and got through that is kind of a sort of personal boost to know that I can always think of that day and realise that physically that was probably the lowest and worst my body's felt.
Hey man, what are you doing? Huh? Wait. I've been done for ages. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've cycled through a storm. Yeah, I'd say I probably cycled through 2 or 3 storms, but Storm Doris was the one that I think was probably classed as a storm. I actually think there's been days where it's been worse, through sleet and rain and thunder and freezing my fingers off to the point that I thought they were going to drop off and I couldn't physically unlock my door. But Doris's problem was the wind more than anything, and having that headwind to battle with was quite painful, quite tough at points.
So happy, mate. Yeah.
Company is it's priceless. It's worth its weight in gold. It's been pretty crazy, like the support from strangers. It's unbelievably humbling and flattering when someone who I don't know will message me and say, I'd like to go for a ride with you. It's been incredibly, heartwarming, and it makes a massive difference just for your own sort of self-belief and confidence that the challenge is doable.
Right. That's cool, thank you.
Atkins. Right, you deserve a special mention. Oh, Rich.
Okay.
Can you tell your story? How do you know Chris? What happened?
Well,
something to do with hot chocolate, right?
Yeah, not the band, but I just saw a random thing on social media with Chris doing it, so I thought, well, there's no excuse for not going out on my bike if Chris is out every day. So I just messaged him and thought, oh, it's bloody cold. When the first time we met,
it was horrible,
on Friday,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Cold and pitch black.
So I thought, let's bring I had a nice little thermos, brought it down with hot chocolate, and luckily Chris had 80k to bang out, so
we did it.
Good for you, good for me.
Is my helmet wonky? You have to tell me, because my helmet is forever wonky.
Right, let's go.
Because this feels wonky to me.
Ken is he's like my mother in this challenge. He not only does he track all of my statistics, so my heart rate, my power, all of my zones, my fatigue, how I'm physically feeling. He will sit and talk to me on the phone and message me at any time when I need someone to talk to or just have a rant at.
107 came about when I got a call from Chris one evening saying he's got a crazy idea, and I'd been coaching him for a while. He does loads of hours anyway, and he basically called me up saying, look, we've got this idea, want to raise some more money for the Pace Centre. It's coming up to 107 days until the Tour of Flanders Sportive, and I want to ride 107 kilometres a day every day. And my first response was, well, without a rest day. There was a point that we were really worried about. It was around Christmas time, so sort of 30-40 days into the challenge, and that was the biggest concern for me, because it was going to be the point where all of the data pointed towards him being at his most tired, and that was going to be sort of the telling point as to whether or not he was going to be stubborn enough and brave enough to power through it. And fair play to him. He had a little blip on Boxing Day, but other than that, he's been an absolute trooper and just powered through.
He spoke a long time about making sure the kit fits right, it's comfortable, it's close fitting, and having, you know, the correct sort of equipment to be able to track all your information and data is vital, because you need to know that you're on top of everything every single day and that everything is the best it could possibly be to try and make this kind of thing as easy as possible.
What you got?
3.
Why have you got 3?
For a croissant.
3 for a croissant?
3 croissants. Pace Centre is a children's school primarily for children with motor neuron disorders. The cards these kids have been dealt is not easy. It's not a simple life. Simple things like going to school, getting in the car, walking down or upstairs. That is so hard for some of these kids. Well, we all take that for granted. And when you start to understand that and realise that, and you see the kind of the work and the commitment of the staff, the families, it puts everything into perspective more than anything else that you can imagine. I need to be reminded regularly that that is why I'm doing it. What was so key about the jersey is that it clearly has on it 107. Obviously in my head I know that I'm doing it for those kids, but to have it on me and to physically see it is something that's incredibly important. It's an extra bit of motivation, it's an extra sort of kick up the arse, boost, whatever you want to call it.
Right, how long we got to go?
40k.
40k still, how are your legs?
They're good, mate. Just turning round, turning over. It's like reminiscing, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's something quite satisfying about riding around this park at night and knowing that I've been in here seeing sunset and sunrise on the same day.
The last thing I did for Pace was cycling around Richmond Park for 24 hours, and that was last summer, and I thought that was tough. That challenge was something for me which I never thought I'd be able to do, and the fact that I did it and achieved it, I sort of thought that, you know, that's amazing. But this thing is taking that and amplifying it to a whole nother level.
It's tough, yeah, it's tough. It's the body gets to a point where it really aches, and it aches every day, and then every now and then it aches a little bit more. Physically, I'm knackered. Mentally, I'm all over the place, and it's tough because it's still a month. You know, it's not that it's. You could say, oh, you've done 72 days. That's the majority of it done. Yes, it is, but it's still a month to go, which is still a long time to be riding so much, and anything can happen in that month. I'm stubborn enough and determined enough to finish this.
How do you know Chris?
Who?
We're both members of Ripcore, the infamous cycling group from Windsor. I'm David du Nord, which is the French term for Northern Dave.
And I'm Lord Hampshire.
Chris has become more and more part of the club and has now risen to hero status.
Legend status, absolutely.
Since doing the 107 for 107, which is one of many challenges that Chris has done.
Do you think he can complete the 107 days, and why?
Without question, he's got fortitude, strength, endurance, and a large part of insanity.
No, he has.
And all of those are important components.
Of course I'm going to do it. I'm going to look at you and say that now.